Today's episode of Bears Now is sponsored by RexMD, the #1 leader in men's telehealth. They've got deals with up to 90% off for Bears fans when you use rexmd.com/chat. We'll tell you more about them later on in today's show. Now, speaking of today's show, as I continue to fill in for the one and only Harrison Graham, here's what we got on tap for everyone today. A wild, crazy, and I'm just going to call it stupid idea came out there from a pretty good NFL draft insider about the Bears drafting Anthony Richardson and then trading Justin Fields. I don't like it. I hate it, and I'm going to tell you why in the video. Plus, ESPN says the Bears have their eyes on Jalen Carter, so we'll end the show with that. But first things first, Harrison Graham and his beautiful, lovely wife, Hannah Graham, welcomed in PJ Graham to the world earlier this week, which, of course, is the reason why I am filling in. You guys have done such an amazing job of congratulating Harrison and Hannah in the comment section below. Now, let's welcome PJ to the Bears family here, and I can't wait to see him suit up in, I would say, Soldier Field, but it might be Arlington Heights by the time he's putting pads on. Now, first up on the show, could the Bears draft Anthony Richardson at number 9 as one NFL draft insider suggested? Let's go right to the horse's mouth as Daniel Jeremiah hopped on a podcast and he floated out this idea saying, reset the quarterback clock by 2 years so you buy 2 years to be able to live off of a rookie deal. The roster is going to be in much better shape for a quarterback incoming than it was for Justin Fields when he started his career. So if you're trying to maximize that 5-year window on that rookie contract, you've reset it. You've got a larger window. You've got a better team than you did 2 years ago. You're going to have to pay Justin here coming up before the team is really, really good and ready to win. You extend that period out. You could then trade Justin and get some draft capital in return. I'm going to stop you right there, Danny, and say absolutely not. We are not entertaining the idea of trading Justin Fields, bailing on him right after he shows Bears fans a lot of promise and glimpse for the future to go after a lottery ticket, because that's all the NFL draft is. He's acting like Anthony Richardson has already won playoff games or something. What happens if you trade Fields, draft Anthony Richardson, and then Richardson sucks and Fields continues to be good? Oh, I'm so glad we reset the quarterback clock. Now we've got 5 years of a crappy quarterback potentially. I'm passing on this for so many reasons. One of them being Justin Fields showed a lot of improvement from year 1 to year 2. Passing yards went up. Everything went up with Justin Fields. I mean, he was a big play machine. 8 rushing touchdowns, 1,100 yards, 17 touchdowns through the air. He showed so much promise and hope for a bunch of wide receivers outside of Darnell Mooney, who was banged up for most of the season, that may very well be out of the league within 2 or 3 seasons. He was working with G Leaguers last year in Chicago. The Bears have made some improvements around Justin Fields. Some big ones, some medium ticket ones, and then some hopeful ones, right? DJ Moore, that's a big ticket improvement. That is a legit wide receiver one. Chase Claypool, I was not a fan of the trade when it took place. I really don't like the trade now that it's worth pick 32, but it fits our narrative, so we'll kind of sneak it in there and say that's an improvement for getting Justin Fields more to work with. You added at least one guy to the offensive line in Nate Davis. He's not a household offensive lineman, but hopefully he can help keep Justin Fields upright. And then you've got 4 picks in the top 65 for this year's draft. I'm going to guess one of them will be a right tackle, one will be a wide receiver, you're going to use the other one on defensive line, and the 4th one might just be best player available because why not? Now, before we get to more on this ludicrous idea from Daniel Jeremiah, who's honestly a really good NFL draft insider, I got to tell everyone about today's show, RexMD. Fellas, do you sometimes lack confidence in the bedroom? We've all had those nights where we get too nervous or maybe had too much to drink. There's nothing worse than not being able to put the stick shift in drive when you need it most. But have no fear, RexMD is here, spreading cheer even when you have had too many beers. RexMD is FDA approved and the most trusted leader in men's telehealth. They have sponsored today's Bears Now to help you always be prepared. RexMD has made it simple, easy, and cost-effective to help all men out there last longer and feel more confident in the bedroom. RexMD makes getting generic branded Viagra or Cialis easy. Everything's online, even the prescription, and they deliver to your door discreetly. No waiting rooms, no embarrassing trips to the doctor, no insurance, and no copays. Take advantage of their best deal yet they've ever offered and save up to 90% off and only pay $2 per dosage with our exclusive link. So go to rexmd.com/chat for this limited time deal. Starter packs of generic Viagra and Cialis are now available for our listeners to get started. That's rexmd.com/chat for up to 90% off. Getting back to Daniel Jeremiah's off-the-wall idea of trading Fields to draft Anthony Richardson, Bears fans finally got a real glimpse and a real taste of what a franchise quarterback could look like. And you want to trade that away for a quarterback who threw 53.8% last season at Florida? Absolutely not. If the Bears really liked the quarterbacks in this draft, they wouldn't have traded back from one, right? Why trade back from one and then get maybe your second or third choice at QB when you could have just stayed at one if you really fell in love with Bryce Young or CJ Stroud and Ryan Poles didn't believe in Fields? But to me, it says that he does believe in Fields because he traded back to get Justin Fields some picks or some players to work with and acquire more picks to build out the rest of this roster. This just doesn't make sense to me once you move back from one overall. And then there's the Anthony Richardson element of this, which I've never been a big fan of Anthony Richardson. I did not think anyone watching Florida football last season thought, now that guy in white, number 15, yeah, he's going to be a first-round pick, top 10 next season. He struggled to find open players. Yes, he's got a cannon of an arm, and he's got tons of athleticism. But you know what? Every single year in the NFL draft, we're told this guy's got a huge arm. You just can't pass on it. Go ask the Jets how Zach Wilson is working out with them with his cannon of an arm. So I am not interested in going after Anthony Richardson. But be real with me. Would you draft Anthony Richardson at 9 overall? I am saying absolutely, definitively no. But if you disagree, that's okay. Here at Bears Now, we are all about a two-way conversation. Now, if we're looking ahead here for the Bears, I've got a rough 2-year plan for Chicago to get back to relevancy, okay? That is, in this year's draft, you draft a starting right tackle, an edge rusher, and a wide receiver, and just be competitive in 2023. I'm not even saying this has to be a postseason team in 2023, but at least be between 7 to 10 wins. I think that's a pretty good goal to shoot for. Then next year, you refuse to leave the draft without Marvin Harrison. I don't care if you have to kidnap him and it's taken 3 or 4, whatever they're up to. You sweep the Packers and you win the NFC North. Boom. That is your 2-year plan to get back on top of the division all the way back to 2018. Now, next up on the show, let's talk about the Bears potentially being in love with Jalen Carter. At least that's what ESPN said. So, before we get to all that, I think this is my last time filling in on Bears Now. So, one last time, can I get an absolute swarm of FGBs in the comments section below? You know the drill. It is the rallying cry here at Bears Now. Spam FGB, and hey, if you hate the Packers, subscribe because you are in good company here. Now, getting back to Jalen Carter, Matt Miller from ESPN wrote this. The best intel I have on the Bears, I've heard defensive tackle Jalen Carter won't fall past their pick at number 9. They are said to value him highly. One AFC college scouting director said the Seahawks, who pick at number 5, and the Lions at number 6 also could take Carter in the top 10. Outside of the value, Carter would be a great fit in the middle of the Chicago defensive line. He'd be a true building block for Matt Eberflus's 4-3 defense. Matt Miller, that's the intel? The Bears want Jalen Carter? Okay, I bet they also want Will Anderson. And they're probably thinking, man, if Jackson Smith and Jigba is there in the 4th round, we might take him too. And some more news, we're not moving out of the state of Illinois. That's the news? That's the intel? Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. The Bears are not going to let the number 1 draft prospect slip past number 9. Now, if you want to come at this from an angle of, well, Jalen Carter might not be on a lot of teams' radars because of his recent struggles, that's fair, but that does not appear to be the case for Chicago. Now, unfortunately for Carter, we will bring up some bad memories here, as he was charged with reckless driving and racing in connection to a fatal car crash. He had to leave the combine during the middle of it as a result. He also showed up overweight and out of shape to Georgia's pro day not long after. Some teams have been rumored to be out on Carter. I don't really buy it. The Raiders are one team. You know what? If the Raiders are not looking at someone, that means all 31 other teams should be looking at them. Because given their track record of drafting, just do the opposite of whatever the Raiders are planning to do, and it's probably going to be an all-pro pick. Now, we know Jalen Carter is one of the best players in this draft class. You look at his stats from last season with the Bulldogs, 32 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. He was an extremely productive player under Kirby Smart for several seasons. There is a big reason why he is the number 1 prospect on a lot of people's big boards. And then you look at the Bears defensive line here. I see 4 faces, and I think only DeMarcus Walker has a real shot of maybe even being on this team in 2024. So there are no roots here, right? There is no guys in the mix to grow and blossom into a longer-term piece on this defensive line at the moment. Andrew Billings, Rasheem Green, 1-year contracts this offseason. Justin Jones is up in his career. Outside of DeMarcus Walker, who even him I can't say definitively is a long-term guy on this roster, they need to find some future pieces, and Jalen Carter would be a phenomenal one to start building around. So let me know. Would you draft Jalen Carter at number 9? I can definitely get behind this over Anthony Richardson. The big issue is he ain't going to be there at number 9. I just don't see a way that he gets past the Lions or the Seahawks, especially Seattle at number 5. But it is the NFL draft. You never know. Just talk to Laramie Tunsil about that. Sometimes guys slip. Now, there are some interesting background reports on Jalen Carter. So I remember when Todd McShay said there's some character concerns around Carter, right? But then you've got the opposite, where it's a story coming out that Jalen Carter is paying for teammates' food at Georgia who aren't on scholarship and don't have the luxurious dining plan. So all of a sudden it's like, well, you said he had some character concerns, but now we're hearing he is Mother Teresa to some of his teammates. What's the deal here? And then there's the alleged association with a fatal car crash, which is just tragic due to itself, but you wonder how much of a role did he really have in that. So if people have concerns about the character for behind Jalen Carter, I don't think they're out of bounds for doing so, but I don't think NFL GMs are really going to let that get in their way of drafting this type of blue chip prospect. That is it on today's show. Thank you so much for hanging out with me throughout this week. It's been a blast keeping you guys in the loop and talking about the Bears. I will sign off, and next time you'll be watching Bears Now, I'll be back with Harrison Graham, hopefully.